guys, this is Chiwe from One Dog Wolf. I am back with my Amigurumi duck. I'm using Lion Brand's Woolies Thick and Quick. This is the body and it's ready to be stuffed. I'm right at the point where I'm going to start crocheting the head on this, and then this is the smallest point, this is the neck, and then it's going to get bigger. So while I'm at the smallest point, I can start stuffing it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the different kinds of stuffing that you can use. Here is my sample. This is completed. This is using worsted weight yarn and a pretty tight stitch. So for this particular one, I used a cluster fill, which is here. So you can see sort of up close, it's got little balls and it's very, very loose. And I find that this is very anti-clumping. I can put it into very small spaces like the wing or the feet, the beak, and it fills very evenly. And then the regular fill that I think everyone is familiar with is just this regular polyester fiber fill. It clumps, as you can tell. You can pull it apart, but once it's in a stuffed animal, once you've compacted it down, it's just going to be clumpy. So for small spaces, I don't want the nose to have like a big clump on one side and nothing on the other. So I prefer not to use this type of stuffing for small spaces. But for something like the big duck, when I have to just take care of this much volume, this stuffing is great because I'm not worried about clumping. I just need volume and I need it to take up space. The other type of stuffing that I have used in my Santa is actually, I use rice and it gives it weight. In Michael's or Joann's or any craft store, you can find the pellet stuffing, which is very similar. It's just very, very small plastic pellets that are really used for like hacky sacks. It's used for anything that is stuffed animals that are sewn, but I can't use them for Ami because it will come out of the holes. So what I like to do is get pantyhose. I just got these pantyhose for $1 at the dollar store, and you can just cut it at the shin or at the ankle, however much you want to stuff it with. This is all closed at the end, so there's no sewing. You can fill this with rice or fill this with the pellet stuffing, and then at the top you can sew it together, or actually I've often just tied a knot. It ties to a pretty small knot, and then you can use this, pad the big stuffed animal with the regular clump stuffing, and then put in this bundle of rice or bundle of pellet in there to kind of give it that sort of floppy extra weight in something of this size. At the dollar store, I also found these shoe liners. For something this color, I think it's fine that I use pantyhose because it's not going to show through. But if I were to use white yarn, like I've been working on the same duck, but using Lion Brand's Baby Soft Boucle, and this is their yellow. It's called Lemonade, but it's very, very light. I think, for the pantyhose, you might be able to see some darkness peeking through. So I may consider using a white shoe liner and then filling this with rice. And then because I can't tie it, I will sew the ends and then just have this sort of bunch out with the rice in it. And I'll use this as stuffing to kind of give it extra weight and to make it extra floppy. So whether it's rice or plastic pellets, then you have the clumping fiber fill, and then you have the cluster fiber fill that you can use when stuffing amigurumi toys. Okay guys, so here we are. This is the smallest point of the body for the duck. So on the finished sample, we are right here. And the next round will be increasing to create the head. I find that this is a good place to start stuffing because once it gets any bigger, you're just going to have to basically stick your whole arm in here to get everything stuffed. So I've got a pile of stuffing. This is just regular poly fiber fill. And even out of the bag, I like to just kind of declump it a little bit. This is the loop for my seamless join. I pulled it really far out so I know I won't lose it. This is my active yarn. I also pull it really far out. Sometimes I like to just put my hand through it so I know I'm never going to drop that stitch, but I think in this case it's large enough. And then you just start stuffing. I know some people have questions about how much to stuff, how, should you overstuff it, should you not? I prefer my toys to be fairly squishy, with just enough stuffing in here to fill out the shape. So, we want to see this triangle at the bottom. We want to see the tail. We did a couple decreases here to create this tail shape. So I need it to be stuffed enough that I can see that. I can see the belly, I can see the tail, but I'm not going to stuff it to the point where it's starting to leak out the holes. Some people choose to. I've seen stuffed animals that are rock solid, and that's fine too. I just prefer mine to be a little bit softer. You want the shape of the amigurumi that you've spent so long putting together to actually show. I like to stuff the corners here, and then obviously the tail and the back. I want to make sure that that gets plenty of love. And then the rest of it I'm a little looser on. I'm not finished stuffing this piece, but it is enough for me to continue with the head and have the bottom completely filled out the way I wanted to. Right now it's not the best shape. Once we get the head on, we'll continue stuffing, fill out the places that we want to fill out, and then it's starting to look like a duck.